Hey everyone, welcome back to the Castaway Consultants, where we teach future Survivor players how to play the game by criticizing current players. Today we're talking about Season 45, Episode 8, Following a Dead Horse to Water. I'm one of your three co-hosts, Ryan Stacy, joined today by two other co-hosts, one of whom is a little dank, one of whom is a little jank. Derek Kubicek and Josh Wessler.
And of course, Ryan being the one who's a little bit rank.
Yep.
More like a little bit stank.
Oh, way to steal my joke.
No, you. No, guys, I had a fun time with this episode tonight. I could tell that production had a lot of fun, but in a way that wasn't too wacky. They weren't really trying to step on the players' toes, I think, with what they did this episode. So it felt like everybody had fun, except a couple, but it's Survivor. It's the harbor does not lift all boats here.
You know, it's like they say in the community. The dean once says, hey, everyone wins except Abed, but not everyone can win. One of my favorite lines of Community, but we're not here to talk about Community. That might be a future podcast. We'll see. Survivor, fun episode. Loved the episode. One of my favorites of the season, I think.
This was a really good one. Yeah, we had a lot of really good strategy, but shout out to evil/chaotic Jeff.
Yep, this was fun. It
was fun.
Probably my favorite Jeff moment in God knows how long. I literally cannot remember last time I've enjoyed Jeff on the show. Today he was great.
And it was multiple scenes too.
Yeah, he was fun. He was fun tonight.
Dare I say, this was a little bit of prime Jeff. When the game was still a little bit pure and he was messing with them in ways that a host could mess with them.
Should be messing with them.
Yes.
Evil Jeff is back. I kind of missed Evil Jeff.
Because I was going to say, chaotic Jeff is new era Jeff.
Yep.
The one where production twists run amok. And
I don't like chaotic
amok.
Jeff. Evil Jeff.
Evil Jeff, I'm here for.
And it's chaotic, but also everybody's friend.
I want to say Tribal Council is awesome, and that is all we could say before we get into spoilers. Anything else before we jump into spoilers?
I don't think so.
No?
All right. 3, 2,
go get it.
1. Rip. Derek's winner pick, Kelly.
So stay tuned. I will be making a new winner pick at the end of this episode. And it was nice to see her leave, because it means we had good, solid, sound, cold-blooded gameplay.
And it was so great. It was one of the funnest blindsides we've had in a while.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best reactions since like Michaela in Millennials vs. Gen X. I want to go back really quickly to the sandwich of it all. Sandwichgate. Austin has had his revenge. This is what you get for going for the advantage amulet. Jemiah and Kelly, you done goofed and you're out of the game. You did this to yourselves.
And I think that's really the only mistake Kelly made in this game up to this point. Yeah, there's little things along the way, but it really comes down to that. I don't think that she would necessarily be the go-to name if that wasn't the case.
I mean, she's also a big threat.
Yeah.
She was a big social threat, but
doesn't help having the extra incentive.
Austin's looking for a reason to send her on her merry way.
Just give him a reason, and he got it. The sandwich has been avenged.
Hashtag sandwich justice.
Hashtag sandwich justice.
Never get in between an Austin and his sandwich.
Agreed.
I mean, how many idioms can we run through here? Point being, Austin nailed it on the head. It was a declaration of war, and Austin stands atop a pile of two bodies.
Yep.
I think the way that entire trip to Mystery Adventure Island went down, I think we all knew that this was going to be how it ended. We just didn't know the timeline of how long it would take.
We are 2 for 2 on this going exactly how we predicted it to go with the advantage amulet. It is a trap. Don't take it.
So for all the people who voted for amulet on the Spotify poll, look where that gets you.
All right, you guys ready to jump to the episode proper?
Let's get it.
All right, so back at camp after the vote, Jake has to do some damage control because he voted for Julie. He does explain himself and is like fully honest, and I really appreciate Jake in this moment. Well, he's just laughing about it. He's a good sport. And Julie's like, well, I'm gonna never work with you again.
He knows that he's in a very, very, very bad spot.
Yep. Easily could have gone home in this episode. I'm very glad he didn't. I really like Jake. I kind of hope he wins. I think if I got to pick my winner, I think I might pick Jake.
I think he has almost zero chance at winning, but I'd be happy to see him at Final Tribal.
Ryan, I want to pick your brain live for a second. So I didn't prep him ahead of time for this. Do you think there is a lawyer who I like more in the history of Survivor than Jake? And I'll give you a hint. I do not like Julie nor Katura more. And
Cochran?
You can include law students.
Okay.
I think I like Jake more than Cochran because Cochran had ups. He had high highs and low lows.
You're a big Andrew Savage guy, right?
No, I was not.
Okay.
I mean, I thought Andrew Savage was fun to have on TV, but I mean, he's not great at Survivor.
Oh, you're a big Nick Wilson guy.
Who?
Nick Wilson?
Oh yeah.
I barely got the name out because.
Derek is a huge Nick Wilson fan.
More like Ick Wilson.
Yeah.
He gives me the Ick Wilson.
As a reminder, this is an anti-Nick Wilson podcast. F Nick Wilson. Anytime he gets brought up, I think that's like...
I figured you'd appreciate that.
F Nick Wilson. He sucks. And if you're a fan of Nick Wilson, don't listen to this podcast. I don't want you here.
So I can't think of any lawyer. Like, I mean, Sydney from a couple seasons ago, she was a fun villain. Or
cut down too early.
Antagonist. Yeah, cut down too early. But I'm having a hard time. Was Alex a lawyer in season 15, Fiji?
Yeah. Alex is a lawyer.
So he had some high highs, but also had some low lows. Mm-hmm. So Jake is up there.
Jake, as far as lawyers go, Jake is cream of the crop.
Maybe when we're done with the rewind, Derek will go back through and look at all the lawyers, and I will do
Derek's tank downs of lawyers.
We'll do it a lank down.
The lawyer rank down.
Yeah, the lawyer lank down. We're getting dumb with this alliteration.
I like it. The girls talk about forming an all-girls alliance. They're up 6-4, and they can take out Bruce next. Even Kelly's like, I'm done with Bruce. He's dragging my game down. And basically the reason being, like, he keeps saying, yeah, she's my closest ally. Bruce, don't tell people that.
Kelly's like, please
stop. But again, like, guys, take Bruce to the end and you'll win. I just want to remind everybody of that. So, I don't know if Bruce is going to go. I think Bruce might make the end.
I mean, we're close enough now to where it is logical to just stretch it out till the end.
It's too enticing.
If we were a few votes ago, yeah, maybe just take him out because he'd be an easy vote, one step closer to the end. But now everyone's got to start looking at some targets here. Big threats need to go out of the game. Is Bruce one of those? No.
He can win a challenge. That's about it. He's got an idol.
Even if he would win his way to the final three, would he have a chance at winning?
No.
And honestly, they could kind of Xander him because Xander had that idol in 41, and everyone just kind of stopped seeing him as a threat, and so the idol was basically a non-factor. They could do the same thing with Bruce, like, he'll go to the end.
Which, a solid reminder, I think this was something that I very loosely touched on way back in, what would that be, Survivor Panama. This was related to Terry Dietz, because Ike said everyone left could just collectively decide that we aren't going to make the guy who just wins every challenge the winner at the end. We're just not going to validate this strategy.
Yep.
Because a jury can collectively decide not to validate
jury nullification.
Yeah, jury nullification.
And I mean, that was a little too early for something like Panama.
Yeah.
But now in the new era, I think that's valid.
Well, I want to give Derek his credit. He called this shot, basically.
Mm-hmm.
He called this type of strategy.
And that was long before the Xander of it all happened, which was kind of fun. It also happened with Dean Kowalski a little bit.
Yep.
But that was different because he played very slow out of the gate.
Yeah, he had a bad start.
Very sluggish.
Boat is going to arrive. Survivor Auction is back, baby, and this is so good. This is fun. A couple of twists. So first off, money is hidden in the jungle, and they have to run and collect as much money as they can. There's like tubes of money. They each have a random amount. Bruce takes his sweet-ass time and only ends up getting one tube out of 40.
Oh, I gotta get my shoes on. It'll be all right. There's plenty of time, right?
Oh, Bruce. This is like a metaphor for his old school type of play.
Well, didn't we just get done talking about sloth to zealotry?
Yep.
Or sloth to cheetah?
Sloth to cheetah.
In this case, sloth to cheetah works much better because we had a sloth who was like, I'm going to put on my Skechers, or he puts on his New Balance sneakers and just takes
Real
forever.
dad move.
Yeah.
The 9 cheetahs ate the sloth.
Yes. 100%. And it's going to come back to bite him again.
It's so good.
Well, because we have 40 total tubes of money here. There's 10 players in the game. Math would say each player should roughly have 4 to their name at the end of all this.
Bruce gets 1. So, and there's also no advantages at the auction. They are told this. Cool. That's fine with me. There's enough advantages in this game. Mm-hmm. Glad they didn't put knowledge is power up for auction.
I was really interested to see how they were going to approach this once everyone knew at the beginning of the season that we were going to get the auction. I was really curious how they were going to do it. I'm actually really surprised that there weren't any advantages. I thought it was going to be almost like a two-phase thing where it's like these are only going to be, food related, and then these are only going to be advantage related. Maybe you had like separate funds for them.
Do the advantage first and get it out of the way. And then the other part is the number of items in the auction is random. 5 are guaranteed. There's 15 maximum, and after the 5th one, Jeff, or I guess he did at the beginning, Jeff is going to draw a number out of a sack, and that's how many items they're going to do. Could be 6, could be 15, anywhere in between. After the last item has been bought, and we're done, which the players don't know when that'll be, the person with the most money left in the game loses their vote. Bruce is going to be the one with the most money left because he didn't get anything, and he loses his vote.
And I mean, this is new Survivor here, so we probably need to cover what the best approach for this. And maybe first I ask the opinion of do we like this format? Because I have mixed feelings about it because it almost already feels a little bit broken, just based on the way that the bidding has gone and the influence of the lost vote on the auction as a whole.
This was fun. I liked this. There's probably room for some tweaking. I'd have to really sit down and think about, what you could do.
When I was thinking about this, I was thinking they're not listening to our podcast, though they should be. So we don't have to come up with a better way for an auction. I think they came up with a better auction than the last iteration that we saw in season 30. This is a step in the right direction. It didn't muddle the game. It was fun. It had some stakes that required a little bit of thinking. I wouldn't actually mind if they did the auction a little bit different, but took inspiration from this going forward. Just make it a little different every time so there's no set strategy for the auction. But I did like the way they did it because it was something that hasn't been seen before, and it was something where if you were lazy and didn't go run into the jungle, you were put at a disadvantage. Just speaking in maths, right? There's a maximum of 15 items left. I'm still assuming that someone's going to lose their vote no matter what. So if you're the last person with money on the table, maybe there's a chance that no one loses their vote.
Yeah, maybe if everyone buys stuff, no one loses their vote.
So odds would say there will be 10 items in the auction because it's 6 to 15. So odds say 10. We end up getting 9. There's a 50% chance that everyone has a chance to get one, assuming we go all in.
Sure.
That's why there's room for tweaking here. And I love that Bruce had a comeuppance for being lazy. That's really what I'm getting at.
But I think we should talk about the strategy.
Yeah.
Go all in. As soon as you see something you like, buy it. All in. And all your money because you don't want to be left with $60 and everyone else spent their money and all of a sudden you lost your vote.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I didn't really... this was close, but I didn't love it. I had fun.
Yep.
I absolutely had fun, but it started to get a little bit annoying to me just because everyone caught on to the strategy immediately. Yep. I want it to be a little bit more mixed, and it almost got a little bit boring in a way just because it's like, okay, everyone's just going to put their max amount and it's just going to go top to bottom who had the most cash coming in and just one after another, and it's going to be completely randomized based on the number that Jeff pulled, and someone's going to get screwed just based on the randomness of money that was in certain tubes.
I think what we needed was more bad items and more you can have this or switch. More covered items, stuff like that. I think that would probably make it a little bit better because we only had the one bad item, which was fish eyes. And so let me know if there's anything I missed during this part of the episode because I couldn't watch.
I don't really want to talk about it, actually. Sure. I think that might be the grossest. It might be the grossest thing I've ever seen.
I couldn't watch it.
Ooh, I don't know. We've had some pretty bad ones.
I know, but that one, everyone knows the shot I'm talking about. Everyone, Ryan doesn't.
I don't.
Ryan covered his eyes.
I have an eyeball phobia for those who don't know, so I can't look at eye trauma.
So moving on, I actually want to say to Josh, I didn't find it boring at all. I loved the countdown.
Mm-hmm.
So Josh was saying he was getting a little boring, and I'm just like, oh, look at these losers.
Okay, and that's why maybe boring isn't the right word, because
predictable.
Predictable. Because I had a ton of fun during the auction. I love that it was back, and the entire time I was having fun from start to finish of the auction. It was just very predictable what everyone was going to do, and it was very obvious that it was basically just going to be random who lost their vote.
Yeah.
So I would like it to be actual people's cause or fault that they lose their vote.
That's why I'm agreeing with you, Josh, that a little tweak is needed.
There are tweaks, but it was Bruce's own fault.
Yes.
So it was fun having that ball drop.
There was one where Jake gets a chocolate cake and he gets to bring 2 people to eat with him. He brings Julie to try and make some amends, I think, and then his closest ally, Bruce. I like those picks for Jake.
I'd like to think that was the reason Kelly went home, was because of the Matilda reward. I'm calling it the Matilda reward. No one else is going to call it that, but from the movie Matilda.
I've never seen it.
Never seen it.
A kid is forced to eat an entire chocolate cake as fast as he can.
So why is this why Kelly went home?
I'd like to think that they decided, you know what, Jake gave us chocolate cake, so we'll vote for Kelly instead.
Oh, okay.
Like the amends with Julie, there's no way to prove that this didn't sway her a little bit.
There you go.
But Bruce loses his vote, and my note goes LOL.
I really wish that Jake wouldn't have picked him so that Bruce just came out with absolutely
would've been
nothing.
funny. Emily decides she doesn't really want to do the All Women's Alliance because her closest allies are Drew and Austin, so she's going to tell Drew about this scheme. Drew's like, oh, maybe I can use this to my advantage, and we can use this to take out Bruce anyway. And then they can think there's a Women's Alliance, but there really isn't, and then Kelly and Kendra and Couture will all fall for this.
It's a really funny way to frame it up. I don't want to say Drew came across a little pompous, but the way that confessional went was like, oh, I am not worried about that at all.
This is a very porous alliance, I think is what he said.
Yeah, it's porous. I've got bigger fish to fry. I'm not worried about that. I think more than anything, it was just hammering home, like, are we still pretending that this isn't Reba versus Bello?
Some people didn't get the memo, I guess.
What it really is the core Reba 4 against everyone else.
Plus Emily.
And Emily is included in that. But I do think that the core Reba 4 is a core.
She might even be top 3.
For now.
She might be in there because Reba would have to cannibalize itself.
Yeah.
And Emily is happy to take that position. I certainly would be.
Mm-hmm.
So Drew, Austin, Julie, they're going to talk to Couture to bring her in and, talk about, like, Bruce or Jake, who's going. They are like, Couture, why don't you choose? I love that. Like, you go ahead and pick. It's fine. We don't care. And Couture's going to pick Bruce because she's completely blind to the rest of the game. Bruce blinders on.
As a sign of trust, we want you to lead this vote.
I loved that from Drew.
It's kind of like me pretending to give my kid the option of what movie he would like to watch. I know what he's going to say. Cars. He wants to watch Cars. Couture, who do you want to vote out? Bruce? Okay, we can vote out Bruce. That's okay.
Do you want to watch Cars or literally any other movie? Cars.
Cars.
Yeah.
Sometimes he'll go, Cars on the road. Oh, ooh. That's Bruce.
Spicy.
That's Bruce with an idol right there.
Watch Cars.
Watch Cars.
So immunity challenge, it's the classic Jason challenge where you have to hold up a log for as long as you can. But, back then Jason won because he had the advantage. No advantages this time, which I like. Just purely endurance, hold up this log as long as you
I
can.
love this challenge. I love that the last 2 have been endurance challenges. I love endurance challenges. They just get me fired up.
I'm more of a obstacle course kind of guy. I like the ones where, like, there's like 3 rounds, and this round 2 people get eliminated. The last 2 to finish this stage will get eliminated. The eliminator style. That's my favorite type of challenge, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting. I like seeing this. This sounds awful, but like the strain on their faces as they're about to lose. Just it's a slow burn.
Derek likes watching people suffer.
Yes.
Yeah. To add on to Ryan's, the eliminator, but with an odd number of people at the beginning, and they have to get past like a certain obstacle that requires an even number of people. And there's one person left out. They've only done that like twice.
Yeah,
before.
they've done it like exactly twice.
But I love it.
And it was super predictable. Like Jake immediately out in Thailand. No, Jake couldn't even get across the starting line. I miss those kind of challenges. They're not fair at all, but I love them.
Survivor doesn't need to be fair.
That's true.
That's a social game, man.
But Jeff says, hey, here's a giant bag of rice that I'm going to hang from this log here. If 4 people sit out, you can have it. And they start talking about it and like trying to figure it out.
And two people, I think.
Yeah, I think it was
out?
Emily and Dee both agree. And then Jeff's like, let me incentivize you guys a little bit. Rips out a knife and stabs the bag so that the brace starts draining out in what could possibly be like my favorite Jeff Probst moment ever.
Oh,
It's up there.
Inspired is the word that comes to mind because Jeff, let's be honest, he's been really bad at this particular negotiation in the past couple seasons.
And it's gotten really stale.
In season 41, he's like, this is Survivor. It's a negotiation. Why do you negotiate with me? And he got down from like 7 people to 4 of like 11. It was awful.
It's like,
This time
Never felt like a negotiation.
You obviously had 4 in your mind this entire time.
This time Jeff's like, you know what? I can't trust the players, so I'm just gonna do it myself.
Let's introduce a little panic to the situation.
And it worked. Do you remember seeing Drew's face? He's like, I'll sit. Please.
That is forcing their hand. Drew was intending on stepping forward the entire time. That caused him to do it.
And Drew's like, somebody else step forward. He's getting mad. Like, somebody else needs to step forward. Okay, so here's the strat. If it's a situation where you know you can't win the challenge, just based on, there's some you're not going to win.
You know yourself.
Yeah, you know yourself. Like, for example, when, hang on for the pole as long as you can. If you're, a bigger guy, like Bruce or whatever, you're not going to win. If you know yourself and you can't win, fine, step forward. But if you want to partake in the challenge, but you're, kind of on the edge, should I step forward? Don't do it. Hang back. Let everyone else panic. Someone else will give up. You stay quiet and let somebody else make the mistake.
And there's, of course, door number 3, where you just don't care about being hungry and you just want to watch chaos ensue.
Well, that kind of goes with number 2.
It does. It kind of fits. But I want to just let you know, you might suck at the challenge, but it's about the sick satisfaction of watching everybody else squirm.
Every grain of rice fall out of the bag.
Yeah. But Bruce is going to save himself a win immunity here. So he's not going home. He can't vote. Doesn't have immunity. He is not relevant.
Just stay back at camp, Bruce.
Safety without power, but he doesn't have to leave.
Yeah. Safety with vision.
Safety, yeah. He's an observer. They might as well put him on the jury bench or the Rob and Sandra little hiding booth.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
All right, so Jake's the target. Jake's going home. Kelly is worried they might split on her because Bruce keeps saying, oh, yeah, she's my number 1. That's fair to be scared of Kelly.
Yeah, be worried. Very, very much so. Be worried.
Emily and Kelly, they try to get Jake to throw out a name. They talk to him what do you think? And he's like, whoever. Give me a name. And they won't do it. So Jake's like, okay, they're coming for me.
Uh-oh.
He goes idle hunting. And he's not going to find anything. But it's really funny because they're like, yeah, don't play your shot in the dark. We really need your vote for this one.
Uh-oh.
Jake, play your shot in the dark. Look, guys, that isn't going to work. If someone on the island tells you, yeah, you don't need to play your idol, you don't need to play your shot in the dark, you 100% need to play it.
Well, this is Amanda and Parvati in Heroes versus Villains.
That's the textbook example.
Mm-hmm. You might want to play your idol tonight on yourself, Parvati. And she's like, how about I play one idol for Russell and one idol for...
It was for Jerry and Sandra.
Oh, sorry, for Jerry and Sandra.
Parvati playing an idol on
Yeah,
Russell.
you're right. I'm sorry. But so that tipped it off. Parvati's like, well, you think I'm stupid?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the fatal flaw here is they didn't have a plan because the pitch essentially is, hey, don't play your shot in the dark so we know we can count on you for our plan. And then there was no plan.
There's no name.
To vote for.
What's the name?
You need to come forward with a really close 5-4 vote that we need your vote for.
Yep.
Come on, man.
That's what happens. That's the problem we run into when there's only 2 people on the bottom and one has immunity and an idol.
Yep. And I guess from Jake's perspective, he really needed to have someone's name to throw out here. I don't think it would have mattered, but just standing there and not really having anything as you're on the bottom. I get not throwing out a name when you're in the middle or top of the tribe, but when you're at the bottom and it could be you, have something.
I disagree. I think Jake played this perfectly. Give me a name. I think you don't want to give out a name. You don't want to be the person to give it away a name because you give away your power if you do that. Jake's just trying to figure out if he's the target or not.
Oh, if that is your main objective,
which should be
Jake's shoes, I guess I was under the assumption that he already knew that it was going to be him.
Clarification's good.
Yeah, and I think the big thing, because I agree with Ryan, but weirdly, I don't disagree with you. We've said in the past, have a name. You need to have a name ready. But what's hard is there is a Corey before plus Emily, and Jake is outside of the, threatened women's alliance. Jake has absolutely no cohort with any kind of power that he can turn to. So he just needs to know, okay, among the 3 on the bottom, one whom is safe, is it me?
Yep.
So he had to go in just, all right, is it me or is it Kelly or is it Katura? What's going on here? I just want to know.
No, not even that. Don't just, is it me?
Yeah.
Who should I vote for? And they didn't give him anything. Jake didn't need to have anything. He just had to ask the question. He got his answer.
Very lawyer.
Drew's going to pitch getting rid of Kelly next instead to Austin, D, Julie, and Emily. Reba 4 plus Emily.
For the record, this is the right move for Core Reba plus Emily.
Especially Austin, because Austin's got advantage. Kelly's got the other one. Kelly goes home. Austin's got an idol.
And I don't know if this was intentional, but I do like that Drew was the one that came forward with it. I don't think and we weren't shown it, at least, that they talked about this beforehand between Drew and Austin.
Yeah.
But if Austin comes forward with this, it's a little red flaggy there.
And Drew's pitch is like, we get rid of Kelly now, and we can split between Jake and Bruce next time and flush settle that way. Or keep Bruce around if you don't really want to get rid of him, which might be smart. But Tribal Council, Jake plays his shot in the dark, not safe, doesn't matter. It's going to be 5 votes for Kelly, 3 votes for Jake, with it being the Reba and Emily group being the 5, Bella being the 3. Kelly goes out, and she's pissed.
Did you do this? I did this.
Yeah. Oh, it was just like Michaela and Millennials versus Gen X.
Was it Michaela and Jay, right?
Yeah, Michaela and Jay. She does the same thing to Austin and Emily.
Whew.
Did you do this? Yep. Did you do this? Yeah. It was really good. As much as I like Kelly, I love this.
And if it wasn't obvious before, there's your 5.
Yep.
There's your 5 at the top of this game.
Bello, you done goofed.
Yeah, line in the sand. It's over. The Reba Bella war was not a long-lived one because Bello fractured.
All of Bello turned on Bello.
Yeah.
It was never even a war. It was presented as a war, but it was like a complete false front. I don't think Reba was ever really in danger.
Well, and that's why we keep preaching. The closest, most cohesive group almost always wins.
Yep.
At a certain point, they'll have to turn on each other.
Yep.
But that point is not now.
Nope.
You have to defang everyone left in Bello first.
Yep.
Which, I mean, the only person who's an original Bello that I think could still win is Jake. I don't think Kendra can win. I don't think Katura can win. I don't think Bruce can win. And
Well,
then
technically, one of them can win.
Technically,
Yeah.
one of them can win if they all go to the end.
I'm
together.
speaking logistically. So
Okay.
if you're Reba plus Emily, like if we're talking about who goes next, you need to take out one more before you start turning on each other.
Okay. I think we're probably all in agreement this was the right move for the most number of people.
Oh, yeah.
This
Yeah.
is a great move.
Oh, yeah. If it wouldn't have happened, we would be sitting on this podcast. At least I would be. I'd be stumping for why did you not take out my winner pick? And then I'd be saying, wow, my winner pick is so good at the social game that no one decided to take her out. She's sitting right there. I said it like 2 votes ago. Kelly's sitting right there. Why didn't you take her out?
Well, it's even better for Drew and Austin, just in case there was something with the women's lines.
Take out that women's line possibility.
It looked like there was a little bit of hesitation when it came to Dee and Julie, but it didn't. I don't know how much resistance there actually was here.
Just a little bit. Great move. What did Twitter think?
Yeah, Twitter on 67% said yes.
Cool.
The right person went home.
Love it.
I'm assuming the rest of the no's is mostly just sad to see Kelly go.
Yeah. Which is fair, but it was the right move.
It was fair.
Twitter's right this time.
Yep. And then while we're at it, we did have one reply to that poll, actually, from Blake on Twitter asking, do you think the vote would have been as split as it was had Jake not given the proclamation he did about, quote, not playing Survivor?
I think I had literally nothing to do with it, and Tribal Council rarely do those speeches do anything. You have to like whip out an idol nobody knows about for anything to happen. Tribal is theater. Live tribals are super rare. I don't think this had anything to do with anything.
Yep.
I think it was determined
Yep.
going in.
And we've touched on it in the past. Touch on it again. Very few tribals are live.
Yep. They present tribals that are live to us sometimes that aren't. There are live tribals, but they're rarer than Survivor wants us to think.
Yeah. There was a micro era in Jeff's as a host where he was trying to make live tribals happen.
Yep.
Like, Jeff, stop trying to make live tribals happen. They very rarely happen, and when they do, they're organic.
And I think they got a lot of backlash for it because a lot of the fans don't like it when everyone just gets up and whispers at Tribal Council. It's like, okay, it was fun for a little bit, but now we don't know what's going on. We want to be able to like hear what is happening. So I'm hoping they start like getting away from trying to incite that.
It seems like they have.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like they have.
Now, a second question. This is not from anyone. This is from me.
Ooh.
Do you guys think that Jake's slip up of saying that my idol, was that intentional on his part?
Probably. Seems
I
like
think
a lawyer
so.
thing to do.
He
I
seemed like a very good actor if it was on purpose.
I'm not gonna lie. I think this was real. I think it was. And I think it showcases a little bit of self-awareness from Jake. Imagine if he does have an idol and he just didn't play it, right? Like
We would have been shown that.
I think so too. So there would be too much drama for him to dangle us.
He would have played it.
Especially
after-
since he plays Shot in the
Yeah,
Dark.
he would have played it. All right, let's get into best and worst player of the episode. I'll kick us off with best player. I'm going to give mine to Austin. The entire Reba group plus Emily did great. I'll give Austin the edge because he's got a second idol now.
One additional piece, with Kelly on the jury, Austin and Drew have no blood on their hands from the fake women's alliance and the betrayal of that. Austin obviously benefits a little bit more from Drew, so I give it to Austin, but I just wanted to add that little piece.
Yep.
I give it to Drew, just because, yeah, Austin gets the out, but it wasn't really anything of his doing. It seemed like Drew was really the one pushing it. I don't know if that was intentional or not by the two of them, but it seemed like Drew really made a lot of the actual action here to make the vote happen. Plus, speaking to his social game, he was the one that Emily came to with the information about the Women's Alliance. So I'll give him that credit as well.
I'll give him an honorable mention. How about worst player, Derek?
I had Katurah because I think her flipping last week really put her in no man's land. And now she has egg on her face because she voted for Jake with nowhere left to turn because now Reba, her new friend, blindsided her and took out Kelly.
I forgot about that. That just completely blindsided her.
So when I'm looking at who could have possibly received the worst, you could say Bruce because he lost his vote, but he did win immunity and save himself. You could say Jake, but he didn't go home, and I think he did enough. So it ends up kind of being Katurah by process of elimination.
I'm surprised we didn't see any extra conversations between that group and Katurah after the challenge, because there's all the talk about like, oh yeah, let's target Bruce, but that was before he had immunity. We never saw a follow-up from that about what their conversation with Katurah was. That was just something that was surprising to me. I had Jake just because I thought that, he didn't go home this week, but it was nothing that he did here. Like, yeah, he didn't throw out a name during that conversation with whoever that was before, but it could have easily been him here. He's just in such a bad spot, and he very likely could be the next person to go home.
I want to change my answer. It's Bruce. Bruce was stupid, and his stupidity directly caused him to lose his vote, which crumbled any chance of Bello having even an opportunity to force a tie and take the numbers in this situation. So I'm changing it to Bruce because he had something in his power, and it was because of his laziness that he lost his vote.
Yeah, but Bruce didn't have that information that he was going to lose his vote at the beginning. So it's hard to fault him like, oh, you didn't get enough cash and you didn't move fast enough, so you ended up losing your vote because of all that stuff. Like, yes, as all that stuff happens, he ends up losing his vote, but it's not like they knew that ahead of time. If they did, 100%, you are the reason why you can no longer tie up this vote. But it was just that type of thing that just happened. He had zero chance actually to affect his fate of losing his vote because of the way that the auction was structured. Everyone just went in order. It had nothing to do with things that he did outside of like his knowledge.
He was lazy. That's what it boils down to.
Now you guys understand why it took so long to pick my worst player of the episode, because it was between Katurah and Bruce. Jake is the wrong pick. Because Jake started about as bad as you could be and like slightly made improvements. He did what he could, and he played a shot in the dark. It was the right move. He did not make his position worse in this episode. I fully rebuke Josh for that terrible pick.
I stand by it.
Katurah and Bruce are the two, because Bruce was lazy, didn't get enough money. The auction, it's a little weird. Could he have actually saved himself from losing his vote at the auction? I don't know. Maybe not. Just the way it was formatted. And then he did save himself by winning immunity. But I really don't like how he was always like, oh yeah, Kelly's my closest ally. She goes home. But on the flip side of that, Kelly was targeting him.
And Kelly's a lot bigger threat than Bruce, so Bruce needs Kelly out at some point too.
On the flip side, Katurah, I think all of this Bruce blindness really screwed her over. And Kendra and Kelly as well. But I think it's a culmination. All of this blindness and focus on Bruce lowered her guard and let Reba and Emily just take command of the situation and really blindside them all. So I ended up landing on Katurah.
So the problem I have with that is actually going to go back to our last podcast where you were very okay with, just spinning the wheel and letting it land however it landed for Katurah. This is what happens when you just spin the wheel. Mm-hmm. You have to hop over to the other side. Mm-hmm. So she's completely in their hands. Yeah, like the name she throws out is Bruce, but it is also the most logical one that everyone else is thinking about. So, like, if you're going to have that opinion from last episode, I don't know how you can now falter as much as you are now.
You can spin the wheel and cause some chaos and then try and go back. You can do it. It speaks to Katura's bad position in the game. She's in a bad spot, I think. So you can do it. It's just Katura's in a bad spot, and spinning the wheel didn't help her as much as it could have. But that's the wheel. You spin the wheel of the game. Chaos doesn't always help you. It can, but it doesn't always.
You know, every reason that Ryan articulated much better than I did, mind you. So thank you, Ryan.
Are you switching back now?
No, I'm not switching back. I think the big reason that I'm not landing on Katurah is because at least Katurah went in and tried to make a women's alliance. Now, did the stronger alliance backstab her on that immediately? I'm not even going to call it a backstab because there was never a line drawn in the sand, right? That was just a false promise made during casual conversation in the hut. So at least Katurah did that, thinking, okay, maybe I did cause enough chaos here to advance my position in the game. And I have to be trusting right now. So much like how Jake really didn't have an opportunity in that one meeting to really leverage anything like a name, Katurah can't assume that she's on the outs, otherwise her game is tanked, which it is. She just doesn't hope it is. And that's why Bruce's active laziness has me on Bruce.
Let's get to who's going next.
Yes.
Josh, who is going next?
It's going to be Jake. They're going to split the vote, and Bruce is going to play as idol. Now, is that what they should do? Probably not, since Bruce isn't a threat. But I think that is what they will do. That's the exact reason why they went with Kelly this vote. It was gonna be Jake, but they're like, we can split the votes next time once they're both available to vote out again. So I think they're gonna do what they were originally thinking about this vote, and split it between Bruce and Jake. If Bruce is smart, he plays his idol.
I don't think that's going to happen now because it's a 5-4 now that Kendra and Katurah, I'm assuming, are going to feel betrayed. So I don't think it's going to be a split like that. I think they'll go after somebody else. I'm reading the edit here. I feel like Kendra's getting set up for either a revenge attempt or an attempt at a revenge. Like success or failure notwithstanding, I think she's being set up for something to try and get some revenge for being betrayed so many times. So I think Katurah is going to go home next. I think all this Bruce blindness is finally going to take her down, and Bruce is going to outlast her in some capacity. Katurah is going next. My winner pick.
For next, I'm picking the low-hanging fruit, and I'm going to say it's going to be Jake this time. I mentioned it in the middle of the podcast. I think that Jake is the last original Bello member with a real shot to win the game if he makes it to the end. I think Kendra would be a GOAT. I think Katurah is a GOAT. I think Bruce is the biggest GOAT of the bunch. And this is me just, fast forwarding and saying Reba pretty much has this locked up if they want. Now, I want to take 1 second to talk about there being 9 people left in the game. That is an odd number, which means that there are 4 at the top and 5 at the bottom. Oddly enough, in my updated version of my Dank Down, my number 5 is Emily. I don't think it would be a horrible move for Emily to flop and try and work with old Bello to better her position in the game next vote. Do I think it's going to happen? No, I don't.
I think that's too much blood on her hands.
I agree. I don't think it's going to happen, but I don't think that would be the worst move.
I think Emily's better off trying to play the middle and let the guys and the girls from Reba turn on each other. I think that's a better move for Emily.
I think that's the move, too. Also, I disagree because in Josh's Jank Downs, I have Emily as number 3.
I have Emily's number 1. That's my new move. Emily beats everybody.
Okay.
It's Emily and D are the 2, and I just, mathematically, I feel like Emily's closer to more people. And plus, I think the people who aren't close to either of them will be more impressed by her underdog story.
Fair.
So that's kind of the tiebreaker I had between Emily and D as my top 2. So let's get into who can't win the game. On the same note, we don't have to go through our entire rank down, jank down, and dank down. We'll just talk about who can't win. And if that does need to get brought up, we can. Derek has a new thing on that note with all the rank downs.
Yeah.
We'll talk about in a second.
Yeah.
But let's start with who can't win. I'll go first. I have a change, again, as I do.
Shocker.
Bruce is still there. But I did one swap between Julie and Katurah. I just think I'm going to knock Julie up 1, Katurah down 1.
It should have been last week.
It was close last week. I'm lower on Katurah now than I was, and which is saying something. So Katurah and Bruce cannot win this game.
After much discussion off mic on how we play who can't win, I will take Kendra off the list and slip Katurah on there. So it's Katurah, and Bruce is obviously staying on the list. That said, I would like to add a caveat that Jake is the only OG Bello member I think left that has a chance to win. I think Kendra, I'm going to stick a fork in her right now that even if she does make it to the end in whatever order it is, I don't think she can win because I don't think she can get there with Bruce and Katura, and that's the only way that Kendra can win. So although a couple weeks ago I added Kendra to my who can't win list and I'm taking her off, consider her fork stuck. Kendra cannot win. 0 vote finalist.
Okay.
Now I want an official like Derek's stick a fork in him like logo.
Yeah, like a meme of like just like maybe like a nice steak on the grill and with a fork in it, and you just badly Photoshop their faces on.
You know,
I was gonna say Derek's face.
I feel like back in the day when we first started this podcast, I did a couple articles that I wrote where it was stick a fork in them.
There were Derek's overreactions.
And then you had a kid.
And then I had a kid and I got more responsibilities at work and then the house projects and life. So I was like, you know what? I'm not getting paid to be a Survivor journalist. I'd love to do that, but I can't, so I don't. I'm just going to talk about it on the podcast with my friends.
Perfect.
There you go.
All right, Josh, you can't win this game.
Mine's simple. It's the same as last week. It's Bruce and Katura.
Okay. So we're on the same page.
Yeah, I think we all finally arrived.
All right. Derek, I want to give you the floor here because you have something new this week.
So on the subject of the who can't win question, the poll that we put out this week on Spotify, and I know this is something we usually do at the end, but we're going to start doing this here now. We put out a feeler for everyone to, if they so chose, rank the players from biggest threat to least threat, kind of in the same way as we have looked at who can't win in the past.
Ryan's rank down. Everyone do their own Ryan's rank down, Josh's jank down, Derek's dank down. And I compiled Josh's list, Ryan's list, my list, and every list that was submitted to us into a comprehensive Castaway Consultants hostship and listenership power rankings of threat level coming into this week, and I have the results. We're going to work from bottom to top here with a perfect 10 from literally everybody that submitted is Bruce. At 8.14, we have Katura, so agreeing with us perfectly. At 7.29, we have Kendra. 6.71, we have Jake. 6.29, we have Julie. 5.29, we have Drew. 4.14, Emily. 2.43, Austin. 2.43, Kelly. And 1.86, D. Okay.
Here is my call to action for the listeners. Going through every single episode through the finale now, this is going to be my short answer poll on Spotify. But if you want to submit these to us on Twitter or on Instagram or DM us, however you get this rank down to us, I will factor it into the official Castaway Consultants listenership rank down, and we're going to go over this weekly, and we won't take as much time. This is the first time, so it's taking a little bit longer. But if you want to be a part of that, make your list of 9 this week and send it off to us because, let's be honest, I'm not dealing with thousands of submissions here, and I love me a spreadsheet.
Yeah, this is probably good. Like Derek said, we usually wait to the end for this, but just to shout out a couple of those places on social media. Derek did mention Spotify for that short answer, so if you listen on Spotify, it's a great way to enter it. Twitter and Instagram is Castaway Pod, so you can find us there and DM, reply, any of that stuff. If you are watching on YouTube or Facebook, send in a reply there. Comments are super easy. Messages are easy on Facebook as well. So you can submit your list there as well. And Derek will average all of that stuff out.
Do we want a deadline by the time you send it in?
Yeah. So I'm gonna set a deadline now, just so we can, because I would like to start posting these as well, just so they are public information. And since it does change every single week, I'm gonna set a deadline of Mondays. So, at some point on Monday, get it in before Monday. So let's say, Sunday at midnight, even though I'm not going to do it at midnight. But, before Monday, get your rankings in, and we will compile them and post them, to our social medias, around Monday. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, fun. New stuff.
And now we don't need to plug social media at the end.
Yeah, there you go.
We'll skip that at the end. The false and everything. All right, let's get into the Survivor pool. Let's check in. So last week I had Jake. Mm-hmm. Derek, who did you have?
I followed Hubicki's theory. I also picked Jake.
And Josh.
Oh yeah.
Who did you have?
I think you know who I had, sir. I was trusting Austin at his word that he didn't want to get Kelly out because he didn't want the threat to be on him, that he had that idol. And I was wrong. You know, I played with fire. I had the most names remaining out of all of us here. I had names like Julie, Kendra, Bruce, who had an idol that I could have picked, and I didn't. I picked Kelly, so I'm out.
You know, much like Kelly, your game had one fatal flaw.
Sucking.
So Josh, you're no longer relevant. Derek.
Yeah, so I'm no longer relevant. I do have everything in front of me, so I can let you guys know that neither of you guys picked Kelly, so she is no longer available to you.
I believe I only have 2 people left.
Ryan has 2 people left, and Derek has 3,
I
so
have
we
3.
are getting down there.
So Derek, who do you got?
And for context, Derek only has D, Julie, and Katura left to choose from.
Mm-hmm. So, cards on the table. I think Julie is in danger. Even if we apply Hibicki's theory, that would make D safe next week.
Yes, they mentioned D being a threat in the next time on Survivor.
If that's the case, maybe Reba does start to cannibalize itself, and Julie goes home in an effort to weaken D's position, because Julie and D kind of seem to be like a 1A, 1B. So I'm not picking Julie. I can't believe I'm doing this, but I'm picking Katura this week.
Okay.
I think that's the right move. But that's coming from the guy who is out. So
Now I have 2 people left, and they are
D and Kendra.
D and Kendra.
So you guys both share D here, but you also have Kendra.
I'm gonna go trust in Dr. Hibicki, and I'm picking D. I don't think D's gonna go.
Which
That makes it very interesting after this, especially if you guys both survive, because you don't have that overlap anymore.
well, that forces a winner next week, because either I lose or Ryan runs out of people.
Yep. So we're in the end game now. Derek, how's it feel?
It's nice not to get last. That's no shade on Josh, because you know what?
8 weeks.
Speaking from experience, this is a hard game. It's hard.
Derek would know.
I've never had to make a high pressure pick before. Because I mean, who did I pick before? Because it was Helen was the famous one.
Yeah, before there was NECA.
NECA. Yeah, NECA.
I actually have a master spreadsheet with all, like the seasons as we started them. So yeah, Derek was out in week 3 and week 2.
So honestly, I'm just happy to be here, guys.
I'm just happy to be here. All right, last thing we got to do. Derek, you lost your winner pick. Kelly's out. Got to pick a new one. We have 9 people left in the game. I'm assuming you're picking Bruce.
Or a lawyer. I am so sad that all 3 lawyers outlasted my winner pick, Kelly. I only take a little bit of solace in the fact that Kelly was a big threat. So she could have won. But, you know, one fatal flaw. Hashtag sandwich justice. I'm going to, again, I think maybe go toward the low-hanging fruit. I think we're starting to get D as a big threat to win the game, and I don't know that there's a clear-cut route to get her out. So I'm going to pick D.
All right, big D, big toe.
Yeah.
Derek, you have D, Josh, you have Austin, and I have Katura.
Hey, you're the last one standing with their original winner pick.
Yeah, I really hope I don't get like dragged to the end as a goat.
You might.
Because, yeah, what can I do about that? But that is it. Anything else, guys? We already did social media.
I don't think so. Just go out, send us your rank downs.
Yeah. Like Derek said, we'll compile all those together, put it next to ours, and hopefully get something posted out there so you can see how it compares.
All right. This has been the Castaway Consultants.
Got nothing else for you.
Good night.